Welcome to Heading West, where we bring you to the frontier of capital markets in Web3. In episode 5, we will be discussing the future of home ownership in Web3 with COO and co-founder Zach Gorman, and how Blockchain Home Registry allows you to own your home's data through NFT ownership.
Awesome. How you doing, Hunter? Great to be here.
Doing well, Zach. We're very excited for you to be on this episode, Zach, and looking forward to diving into it. So to kind of kick things off, Zach, I'd love to hear, what was the concept for BHR and kind of how did that come to fruition?
Sure. Some high-level context. My business partner, James, and I started a prop tech company called Torrey Homes about 5 years ago. And the really high level there has been, our mission has been to make the process of buying, selling, and owning homes easier using innovative technology. So we've been operating at the nexus of that world for the last 5 years, and we've learned a lot of great things. And sort of the two key insights we've have, by working in this industry that have really prompted us to switch gears and start, really pushing with BHR are that, number one, you own your home, but you don't own the data around your home. And, I'm sure anybody in the Web3 world can really sort of understand the ethos of, behind ownership of data of any sort, data or assets. And it was always just very, a big question mark to us of like, why does somebody own the physical real estate, the physical property itself, but none of the data surrounding it? So, a title company knows more about ownership history, deeds, liens than you do. An insurance company knows more about potential climate risk for your home than you do. So there's this whole wealth of data around your property that remains pretty much inaccessible to homeowners. So that was a big question mark for us. And then sort of the other piece that's really driven us into this space is that, the real estate industry, I think this is probably a surprise to nobody who's interacted with it, but it is notoriously fragmented and anti-competitive. So it really makes it difficult to work within the space and innovate. And it's a reason why we've seen, so many of the legacy players in the industry have been very lethargic when it comes to innovating. So those two key insights have really driven, our entry into the space and helping to create BHR.
Oh, that's incredible. It's super fascinating what you guys are doing. And I think it's interesting too, because the market's enormous, right? People in Web 2 and Web 3 either own homes, or most people's lifelong goal is own a home one day. So I love how the market's super broad. And then I'm curious though, why Web 3? Did you guys just see the technology changing and evolving and kind of see an open sector in the market?
So we're both, James and I, my co-founder, we're technologists. So we've always had our eye on blockchain technology. I've been watching the space for, many, many years at this point. Back in 2017, we sort of looked at things and said, clearly there's some opportunity here. Anybody who you talk to about blockchain will be pretty quick to, when you ask them about use cases, I think a lot of people will turn to real estate really quickly because you think about things like title and MLS, like there's sort of low-hanging fruit, ripe for disruption in the space. But it was just clear to us back then that, the technology on the blockchain side and just sort of the ubiquity of the space had not matured to the level where we could really make a play there. But obviously in the last 18, 24 months, things have really changed and the space has, blown up. So it brought us back to, looking at the space more holistically and seeing like, what's the opportunity here? But the real reason why we're using blockchain technology is not only because of all the advantages that, the specific tech can afford you. There's a lot of efficiencies and really, great opportunities built in there, but it's also that, sort of going back to that second problem I mentioned, in our previous question, the idea that the industry is so anti-competitive and fragmented. And the real beauty of blockchain is this sort of immutable, decentralized, trusting nature is what we're using to help bring all of these different stakeholders in the industry together. Because the idea of BHR is that it's a collaborative protocol for the entire real estate industry to build on top of. So you'll have anybody from a title insurance company to a lending company to potentially, inspectors, anybody in the ecosystem can contribute their own unique data to the network and add more information about homes there. So you wouldn't be able, at least we don't believe, and we haven't seen an example of this in the past, that if you have one centralized entity that's controlling all of this data, none of those stakeholders in the real estate industry are going to participate because they'll say to themselves, like, why would we give over sort of our control of that data, to another centralized authority that could then, change things on a whim, like we've seen with, the large FANG companies and things like that. So it's really sort of that trust built into, the ethos of the technology of, why we decided to pursue Web3.
No, that's incredible. It's super important too. I love how you guys are democratizing, data, and definitely the market as a whole, whether it be real estate, et cetera, has seen a huge shift. So I think you guys are timing this perfectly. And then I'm curious, Zach, if you can kind of explain the process of like turning your personal property into an NFT, and what does that look like from a consumer standpoint?
Sure. Yeah. So, we're starting in the US, but now any US homeowner can go onto our platform. It's live. bhr.fyi is the website. You can claim a verified NFT of your property. And so by verified, we mean that like we're actually looking and referencing public record with your legal name to ensure that you are in fact the owner of that home. Once we've actually validated that, and we also, we'll put you through KYC. So there's a lot of, obviously security is a really big, factor in what we're building. There's a lot of sensitive information around people's homes and that asset. So we want to verify that you are indeed the owner of that home. And once we have that confirmation, then we issue you the NFT of the property. And you can think of the NFT as the sort of key to your digital home record. It's access to this historical, transferable, permanent record of your home, sort of like CARFAX for homes supercharged. So the process is quite easy. And early on, we built in ways for people to claim their home with a DeFi wallet, but also just using credit card. And actually right now we're doing it completely for free. So you can claim your home as long as you own that property, you can go claim it on BHR. You can store it in a DeFi wallet. Otherwise, for people who are unfamiliar with the Web3 space, we wanted to make this a much more accessible product. We understand that the sort of technical impasse and overhead of the Web3 space is one of the major blockers for real mass scale adoption. So we also built in a custodial option so that you can still have access to the platform and, all of the data information around your home, but you don't have to hold that asset or engage with any cryptocurrency, DeFi wallets, anything like that.
No, that's great. I think it's important too, just because a lot of people are building in Web3 only, but I think it's interesting from a founder perspective, how you have experience in both. And as you noted, building the custodial wallet should be a great avenue for people, to enter Web3. So that's great to hear. And then I'm curious, are you guys built on Ethereum, or what network are you guys currently building BHR on?
Yeah, we started on Ethereum. I'm sure plenty of people, Ethereum is a very polarized space right now, but the reality is, that's where most of the adoption is. So we wanted to meet people where they are. We're constantly assessing, over time as BHR evolves and we really start to build out sort of the integration platform side of what we're building. We will evaluate alternative chains, multi-chains, things like that, different L2 solutions. But for now, especially because we're incurring the costs associated with anything on, any data transfer on the network or the NFTs themselves, we decided to just keep it on Ethereum and let that mass scale adoption be an easier entry point for folks.
No, definitely. I think that's a great foundation and a great mindset to have. And then I'm curious, what were some big obstacles building BHR? I know, security, people's data, it's, a very important space. What are some main obstacles you guys have kind of encountered thus far in the journey?
I think for us, this is less an obstacle and more just, the way that we think about how we're building, but just making sure that it's thoughtful. I think, we have been watching the space for quite a while, participating in our own rights. And I think it's clear to us and clear to, I think, a lot of people that, we're in sort of this pivotal moment. And I think we're sort of seeing, a real recalibration, especially in the last, 5-6 weeks or so. But where there's opportunity and there's capital, there's always going to be scamming and grifting and things like that. And we see so many different projects, even in the sort of the real estate and blockchain space, which is, nascent and early, but there's a lot of stuff out there that just doesn't ring true to us. It doesn't feel authentic. It feels like a money grab. It feels like, far more opportunistic. And, we've been building so long in this space and are so, we have such a deep knowledge from our experience working with different great companies and different providers from the whole space. And we want to, build something that's going to actually be sustainable. So it just requires a lot more thought and a lot more consideration. But, I think we're onto something really special here. But I would say that that's been our biggest challenge. But it's also been, the thing that we're most excited about is, building something truly thoughtful and sustainable that's not just going to go away because of speculation around coins and things like that.
Definitely. I think it's a very important aspect. And I'm curious too, for people listening or homeowners, especially in the US market, who currently owns most of their data? And then how are these companies currently kind of utilizing that data? And what is the benefit for individuals to kind of take possession of their home data?
Yeah. So, I mean, as I said earlier, it's all of these private companies are the ones that have information about your homes. Like title insurance companies have all this information about deeds, liens, permits, ownership history, anything like that. Inspection companies have all the information about, maintenance history and everything about your home. Insurance companies know things about climate risk. So all of that information is just fragmented, distributed, and locked away in many cases. So for us, creating this whole new data vertical and collaborative protocol that the industry will want to participate in, and incentivizing both those players in the industry as well as homeowners to contribute data to the network, is going to lead to not only just more high fidelity records of homes, which has, immense benefits in many, many situations, but also just, making sure that over time, everybody can really find some advantage here. So that's really where we're at.
Yeah, no, it's very important. And then, so I know BHR currently, one of the main features is tokenization and bringing your home into an NFT to gain access to its data. But are there any other features you guys are looking to roll out in the near future?
Yeah, I mean, we've got an immense amount of stuff coming up. I'm really excited. I think for us, we wanted to get something in consumers' hands as quickly as possible. So that's where we started. We built the platform, we made sure that anybody can claim their home on there. And immediately we wanted it to, the sort of frame of mind for the platform itself from a consumer standpoint is like, think of it as your home for all things home, everything related to your home's history, any data information about it, maintenance history, all of that can now be uploaded onto this really secure protocol and platform. So we're going to be rolling out a lot more to help make the documentation of your home's history and everything associated with it far more robust. There's a lot of stuff that I can't quite talk about right now, but we're builders. We've always been builders. We've been in consumer, for a long time now. And I think people, especially folks who are in the Web3 space now, asking for utility from projects, I think it's going to be quite shocking, how much of that we're really able to deliver in a short amount of time.
Are you guys one of the first projects to be democratizing homeownership data, or are there some other players in the space that you guys are currently competing with?
As far as we know, we're really sort of first to market here. There are a lot, I think when you go and look at the Web3 real estate space right now, a lot of stuff you'll see is about fractionalized ownership. I think that's sort of the new meta right now, and for good reason. I think it's like an immense opportunity and can really, generationally, I think we're all sort of, questioning, like, is owning a home even something that I can do right now? And that's like a big deal. I think millennial generation and then, Gen Z coming up not too far behind, like, sort of there was this promise growing up that owning a home was sort of like, secure and something that was going to be viable for most people. And just given the markets and macro condition right now, I think it's something that is really not available. So there's a lot of stuff around fractionalized ownership to give people, easier entry points to owning this, highly stable real estate asset class. And, I've seen some things sort of like REITs, different REITs for metaverse property as well as real world property as well. But we are the first sort of collaborative platform trying to solve things from this end.
It's definitely important to be one of the forefronters in the market. For example, if I went to go on BHR, I claimed my property and I sold it in the real world. What does that process look like once I claim that, or how does that transfer process?
Yeah, that's a good question. So we're always looking at public record and referencing that. So the second that public record is updated and it says that, Hunter is no longer the owner of 123 Main Street, you would no longer have access to that home record. We will either take possession of the NFT if it isn't already into our custodial wallet, or we have a mechanism by which we can burn the NFT but all of the records are maintained centrally so that we can reissue the NFT and all of those associated records to the new homeowner. And they just have to go through the same verification process. We'll see like, okay, homeowner number 2, check their legal name against public record, and then they can claim that home record and all of the information that's been provided and uploaded to it.
Too, are you guys currently fundraising? And if so, is there a way for anyone listening to kind of get involved or be a part of BHR?
Yeah, we are currently fundraising. Details on that forthcoming. We want to make, part of the whole space, the Web3 space is, giving people access to more across the board. Obviously, we're pursuing that on sort of the home ownership and data side of things. We've got some really cool plans on how to get people more deeply involved in the future of BHR and the actual building of the protocol over time. I can't really say anything explicit on that right now, but we will be announcing that stuff in short order.
Are you guys currently have any open positions on the team, and what does that look like for anyone listening as well?
Yeah, so we've got, we're looking for a couple key positions right now. I think, once we wrap up this funding round, things will open up a lot more. We will be launching, or at least piloting an ambassador program soon, because we've got a lot of people who've been raising their hands. That's why I love the Web3 spaces. Like, there's so many people who are just trying to get involved in all of these new areas and opportunity and, small ways, large ways. So we've had enough people really sort of banging down our door, honestly, saying like, hey, I really like what's going on here. I'd like to get involved. So in the next couple of weeks, we'll be piloting an ambassador program and seeing, how the community sort of responds to that. And based on the feedback we get there, we intend to make that a far more robust part of what we're doing. But again, the beauty of Web3 is sort of the community building aspect of it. So that will be sort of a core pillar of our development, for the foreseeable future.
Definitely. Web3 is an incredible place. If you had one piece of advice to give to another founder building in Web2 or Web3, what would it be?
So 2 pieces of advice. I would think number 1, and this comes from my co-founder, James, but read Solidity contracts. Like go actually dive into the technical aspect, because I think that's the first thing that people want to skip, but there's so much foundational information that can be learned by actually like taking a look at the technical side of this and, just get your hands dirty, because there is unquestionably value in learning the technical side of what's going on here. Again, in my personal opinion, I think the future of Web3 is that the words blockchain, the words DeFi, NFT sort of fade into the background, and the products and services themselves that are being powered by this technology are what, people see and touch and feel. But like any nascent industry, I think learning the fundamentals and especially sort of the harder stuff is going to be invaluable if you really want to participate meaningfully in the space and work in the space. And then the other thing I would say is just find your sort of zone of genius and area of interest, because again, one of the best parts about this space is that, it's still early, but there are already so many applications, both in legacy industries. We're seeing a lot in sort of the creator industry, music, arts, things like that. But also, there are so many new use cases that are just creating new industries around Web3 themselves, like native industries that are powered by Web3. So just get your hands dirty, go find projects or people who are participating in this space and start talking with them, start participating, because, if it's interesting to you and it's drawing you, from the start, like it's not going to feel like work, and it's going to, your value is also going to be expressed much faster because you have that sort of vested interest. So high level, I think with both of those points is like, just get your hands dirty. All of the information that you want is available to you. That's another great part about this being sort of a tech native industry, is that all of the education you need, it's there. It's in YouTube, it's on Discords. There are also just plenty of educational Web3 products and services being built. I can mention like Odyssey DAO and Blue Studios, teams and projects like that are sort of empowering people to, learn about the space. So just get your hands dirty. It's really fun. And I've been really excited to just see what's happened in the last, 12, 18 months. And it's only going to get better from here.
I can't agree more. And what's interesting too is in Web3, you can definitely find a home, and anyone that's not, you will find a home, whether it be you're into real estate, music, arts, etc. There's a home for everybody. But thank you again, Zach. This has been a pleasure. I appreciate everyone tuning in to episode 5 of Heading West, and we will see you in the next one.
Thank you so much, Hunter. Appreciate it.
Of course, Zach. Thank you.